If you're renting in Midland, Ontario, or the surrounding areas, including Penetanguishene, Tiny, and Tay, you may be paying more than you think. Now, most renters I talk to assume buying is completely out of reach. But when we actually run the numbers for January 2026, the math tells a very different story. So let's break it down. Here's what's actually happening in Midland and the surrounding areas. So the average home price right now is $530,000, and a typical one-bedroom rents for $1,700 a month, and a typical two-bedroom rents for $2,000 a month. So that means if you're renting a two-bedroom in Midland or the surrounding areas, you're probably paying $24,000 a year in rent. And over 5 years, that's $120,000 you paid in rent. And that money builds you zero equity. So let's use a real life example. If you had a purchase price on a home of $530,000 with a 5% down payment, that's $26,500, or a mortgage of $503,000. So let's say you get a high interest rate at 5.5%. That means your mortgage payment would roughly be around $3,000, including taxes. That is more than rent. I know, I understand. But here's what most renters do miss when doing this calculation. In year one, you're still paying interest, but you're also paying down principal. Roughly $8,000 to $12,000 per year goes towards your equity in the early years. So while your payment might be $3,100, your true cost isn't $3,100, because part of that money is coming back to you in equity. So let's compare that over 5 years. So if you're renting and you're locked in at $2,000 a month, that is $120,000 gone. So if you're buying and it's $3,100 a month, $186,000 in total payments, but you've gained $45,000 to $60,000 down in paid principal. Now that means with appreciation of 2 to 3% of added value, that means you're saving instead of spending. So your net cost difference over the 5 years shrinks dramatically. That's the part nobody talks about. Now let's be honest. Buying in Midland and the surrounding areas is not for everyone. Renting makes sense for some people, especially if you're moving in under 3 years, or you don't have emergency savings, or you're unstable in your career, or even if you're carrying high interest debt. But renting buys flexibilities for these types of people, and renting has its value. Buying makes sense if you plan to stay for the next 5+ years and you're financially stable, you're tired of rent increases, and you want control over your housing. So Midland and the surrounding areas still have prices that are significantly lower than larger Ontario markets. In January, we saw 13 sales under $500,000, but that window is not going to stay open forever. Here's the truth. Renting isn't throwing money away, but staying stuck renting long-term without ever running the numbers can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. If you're renting in Midland, Ontario, and you want to know what buying would actually look like for you, book a no-pressure consultation with me. I'll run your exact numbers, and I will not give you a sales pitch, just math. Because once you see the math clearly, the decision becomes very obvious.